Governor Mitch Daniels was in town today. He is a man many hoped would jump into the presidential race. He's not, but he isn't afraid to talk about what he thinks the country needs to do to improve in a wide variety of areas.
Scenario about how economic collapse and really...
Governor Mitch Daniels stopped by Purdue's campus Thursday afternoon. For 45 minutes, he answered questions from C-SPAN founder and Purdue alumnus Brian Lamb and some of about 300 people in the audience. Although it was certainly lighthearted and informal at times, much of the discussion centered on his new book and what he believes is the best path for economic growth.
We better be talking about the common problems that each of us has across ideology, across party, across income group and age group in avoiding the disaster that's ahead if we keep drifting.
Daniels focuses much of his solution on tax reform. He told the audience he wouldn't let the Bush-era tax cuts expire even on the wealthiest Americans. But he did agree that everyone has to pitch in. It starts by what he calls weeding the garden of tax codes, flattening tax rates for all by closing many exceptions and loopholes.
We talk about, turning the thumb screws a little tighter on the wealthy. You'll only get a small amount of money, if any. And you may have harmful consequences. If you go the different route, the one I suggested, two things are absolutely sure. If you grow the economy faster, we'll have more tax revenue.
Daniels told the crowd he's thrilled that high-quality universities like Purdue help attract large numbers of out-of-state college students, larger than the number of collegians who leave Indiana to go to college in another state. He hopes by making Indiana one of the most friendly to businesses, that talent stays here. Lamb ended the session with a question that's the one political strategists would most like to know the answer to.
Are there any circumstances in which you would accept the vice presidential nomination from the party?
You're asking the wrong person. The call ever came, I'd have to talk to my to the 5 women in the Daniels family again, and I got no idea what they'd say, so I can't answer.
Earlier in the day, there was a steady flow of people at Barnes & Noble in Lafayette waiting to get a copy of the governor's book signed. Before the book signing, though, News Channel 18 sat down with Daniels to discuss some major topics he wrote about in his book, Keeping the Republic, mostly about the nation's debt crisis. Daniels says the government needs to trust Americans. He says one way is to not treat them like victims who need to be protected against their own mistakes. He says Americans need to make their own decisions about health care, mortgages, and where their kids go to school. Many of the people who showed up supported what the governor had to say.
A friend of mine read the book on a Kindle and said every American should read it.
Wish he was running for president, but I understand why he's not.
Daniels says he didn't write his book for the politicians in Washington, but for concerned citizens who might speak to their politicians. Republican Senator Dan Coats was also in town today. He made a stop this afternoon at Subaru of Indiana Automotive to tour the facility. He praised SIA for its positive impact on the local economy, but he didn't have the same praise for the country's current financial situation.
We've got the wrong policies coming out of this White House. We need to enact new, tough choices, make the commitment to it, and we're going to be much more prosperous and in a better position going forward.
Coats also stopped by Purdue and Governor Daniels' book signing. A car